Check out the latest edition of my collection. This is now my oldest comic book. This is Buster Brown, issue 11 from 1946. I got it for only $4. And as you can see, I put it in my new case. Let's take it out, take a look at it. So Buster Brown was a newspaper comic strip created in 1902. He was named after Buster Keaton, who was known for his films in the 1920s. But this is from back when he was a child in vaudeville. 2 years after the character debuted, he was adopted by the Brown Shoe Company as their mascot in 1904. And the Brown Shoe Company decided to put out this comic book from 1945 through 1959. It ran for 43 issues, and it was a store premium giveaway. And the various Buster Brown shoe stores would put their address on the cover. But the comics themselves were just reprints of old adventure stories from the Golden Age. Now, this particular issue, the cover is drawn by Dan Barry. Inside, the stories are by Hobart Donovan, and the art is by Dan Barry, Walt Scott, Emil Gershwin, John Junta, who was the inker on Frank Frazetta's first comic, Snowman, back when he was 16 years old, and Cy Berry. So every summer growing up, my mom would take us to the store to go school clothes shopping, and of course we would get a pair of shoes for the upcoming school year. And every single year she bought me a pair of Buster Brown shoes. At first I was too young, I didn't know any better, I never thought about it. As I got older, I realized nobody else had these Buster Brown shoes for babies, and I despised them. I finally got my break in 1984 when I convinced my mom to allow me to get a pair of camouflage sneakers. Oh man, I was so into G.I. Joe, and we had just gotten a house the year before, and it was in the middle of the woods, and my brother and I just wanted to completely dress head to toe in camouflage and stay in the woods all day long. And part of my ensemble were these camouflage sneakers. They were so cool, and I was so happy when I got to school and saw my friend Richie Garcia had the same sneakers. Just by coincidence. How cool is that? Well, the following year, 1985, I was getting my first pair of shoes for middle school. Now, my middle school experience was just like the movie The Breakfast Club. This was a very high-pressure situation where you are classified into your group, and it's all peer pressure, and it's all being very concerned about what everyone thinks of you, which, of course, is directly tied to what you're wearing. So, for me, there could not be any more Buster Brown shoes. I was not going to be ridiculed into oblivion. And I noticed everyone had these high-top sneakers at the time, and I got a pair of Converse high tops. Now, not the kind that you're thinking of, the canvas high tops that the skaters would eventually adopt when skaters became a thing. No, these were pleather, because that's what everyone was wearing. Now, they were wearing Reeboks. I didn't know this. I didn't know the difference between brands, and I just knew I needed to get these pleather high tops. And I'm sure my mom was looking at the different shoes and seeing that they were so much more expensive than Buster Brown's. She went for the cheapest version, which I'm sure were the Converse. But that's fine, because I started to realize, as people pointed out, that I had Converse. Oh, I have a specific brand. It's not just high tops, and it's not just non-Buster Brown. These are Converse. So what are they wearing? And I started to notice, you know what? It's the girls that wear the Reeboks. It's a good thing I didn't get Reeboks. I don't want girl shoes. Except for the boys that did wear Reeboks. I immediately started ridiculing them for wearing girl shoes. I'm telling you, it's a high pressure time. Now, the boys were wearing Nikes. So I knew the next year I would have to get a pair of Nikes. Now, the next year, my brother and I went to New York to visit family for the summer on our own. And we weren't going to make it back in time to do school shopping before the new school year began. So my mom mom sent her cousin money to take us school shopping. I got all my clothes, which I believe at the time were that OP, Ocean Pacific surfing style that I thought was so cool. And then we went to get some shoes. And I picked out my Nikes, and my aunt, my mom's cousin, whatever, said, no, your mom said you need to get shoes. So here, these are what you will get. And she held up these dress shoes that you would wear to church. And we were like, no, we don't dress up anywhere. We don't have clothes that go with these. What we get right now, we are stuck with for the whole year. There will be no replacements, and I am not going to school with shoes that are going to get me beaten to death. And she was like, no, your mom specifically said shoes. I'm like, yeah, we call them shoes. No, you're holding sneakers. We don't make a distinction. We just call them shoes. We cannot get those. We have to get sneakers. Call them whatever you want. We cannot get those. We have to get these. I will not be murdered. And she said, you Florida people, you talk different, don't you? And, on that trip I found out apparently we did. Especially when they would say things like, you want a pop? A pop? What's a pop? And they go, oh yeah, that's right, you're from Florida. You say soda. Do you want a soda? Like, what is a soda? We don't say that either. I'm like, well, what do you say? Like, I don't know. You want a Coke? You want a Mountain Dew? If you were one of my friends, it would be, you want a sweet tea? We drank iced tea, not sweet tea. But we didn't drink pop or soda. Or whatever. Thankfully, I won the argument in the middle of that store, that desperate argument. I think my aunt could see the stark fear on my face, all the blood running out, and she succumbed, and I got my Nikes, and my life has been fine ever since. And I never had to wear Froggy's favorites ever again. See ya!